What's a big industry secret that isn't supposed to be known by the general public? Customer service also have mute buttons, and they use it to laugh at you and or call you names while you're busy complaining. Our printing department printed your t-shirts wrong, and right now they're filling in the missing ink spots with Sharpies. Midway games at carnivals or fairs purposely let people win early on in the day. This way people carry around the prizes and advertise them for the rest of the day. Edit. Guess I should mention I volunteered at my local fair for several years. Every programmer in the world occasionally writes a very bad code that sticks with the app program forever. Nearly every caller you hear on Top 40 radio is either an intern or someone else close to the studio. Everything is fake, especially that War of the Roses. And paid interns do everything that used to be considered entry level. You use too much Dawn dish soap. That stuff is ridiculously concentrated. Obligatory highest rated comment. Edit. Not sure if this is an industry practice, but a very popular online retail company in my country has no in-house web designers or any other IT staff beyond your generic networking techs. Anytime their website or backend systems need work, they simply advertise a permanent position and give the job of sorting out whatever they need done as a trial for the candidate. Once completed, they then inform them that the position is no longer available and send them on their way. They've been doing this for years. Edit. Well, that escalated quickly. Your children tell us nearly everything about what goes on in your home. Source: preschool teacher. Thanks for all the upvotes and replies. Cracking up reading some of these. Printer ink cartridges are meant to signal that they're empty after a certain number of pages, even if they still have some ink left. Goddamn all that ink I wasted. A lot of people probably know that when a TV show goes into syndication that some scenes will be cut from episodes to make them slightly shorter, to fit in more commercials. What people don't know is that the show can be slightly sped up as well, to squeeze in just a little more advertising. The TI-83/84 signing key, that was a real storm. TLDR, the public found out a way to install custom firmware onto TI calculators. TI lost their it. I attended a songwriting workshop at Berklee School of Music, and Anna Wise, Grammy-winning songwriter, Kendrick Lamar collaborator, told the audience during a presentation that whenever someone magically blows up on SoundCloud or YouTube, that it's not authentic. A label will sign the artist in secret, and then suddenly boost their viewership tremendously to make it look like the independent artist did it on their own. At Subway, my manager never once bought real mayonnaise. The light mayo and the real mayo are both light mayo. Investigate those duckers. A bottle of Windex is basically 95% water, 4% ammonia, and 1% blue dye fragrance. The most expensive part of the product is the bottle. You can put your own asparagus in water to make asparagus water. People in service industries don't actually care about how your day is going. Customer service text chat can see what you're typing in the box before you hit send. Former Dunkin' employee here. We don't check the survey codes at the bottom of your receipt. Any random 5 digits in the space, you've got a free donut with purchase. Rocket science is like 90% plumbing. Ask to have the late fee waived. I literally cannot do anything with it until you specifically ask. So you have a late fee of $30 on this. Gee, that's a lot. Why is it so much? That's the late fee we have. I do apologize for that inconvenience. Well, I guess I'll have to pay it then. Okay, so your bill is $150. Do you realize how much that is? Yes, and I do apologize for the inconvenience. Well, can you do something about it? Yes, now I can because you asked. Please stop making me feel guilty that you paid your bill late. Edit. Since so many are asking, I work in insurance for business owners. I'm sorry I'm not the cell phone, bank, mortgage, hospital, etc. company. If it makes you all feel better, I'd waive all of your late fees. It feels like it shouldn't be a secret, but a lot of people just don't get it. If you find yourself waiting forever to be seen in the ER, that's probably a very good thing. We get the serious stuff back there pretty dang quick. Edit. For clarity's sake, A whole lot of pain doesn't automatically make something serious. A broken arm or something hurts like hell, but we're going to take the guy who's sweating and says his chest feels a little tight before you. Because he might be dying and you definitely aren't. Grocery store bakeries do not bake the cakes they decorate. That stuff comes in frozen. I can't bake you a carrot cake. Asterisk. On top of that, most of the baking in grocery store bakeries is just pulling frozen pastries or muffins or whatever out of a box and panning it up, then putting it in the proofer oven. We don't really make things anymore. Edited for politeness. A stupid amount of porn companies are all owned by the same, generically named IT company, MindGeek. 99.9% of the guys girls that you see in ads selling workout supplements don't actually take that crap and are high dosing anabolic steroids. If you get involuntarily bumped from a flight, you can get paid out 200-400% of the flight's cost back depending on how late you get to your destination. If this happens to you, they'll offer you a bunch of vouchers, but be persistent and they'll pay you out. If the airline arranges substitute transportation that is scheduled to arrive at your destination between 1 and 2 hours after your original arrival time, between 1 and 4 hours on international flights, the airline must pay you an amount equal to 200% of your one-way fare to your final destination that day, with a $650 maximum. If the substitute transportation is scheduled to get you to your destination more than 2 hours later, 4 hours internationally, or if the airline does not make any substitute travel arrangements for you, the compensation doubles. 400% of your one-way fare, $1,300 maximum. Edit. When a flight is overbooked, they come over the PA and start handing out a few $100 vouchers and put you on the next flight. If you take one of these vouchers, you have voluntarily given up your seat. If no one takes them the first round, they keep on going up in voucher amounts. But eventually, if no one takes them, they're going to have to involuntarily bump people off the plane. If this happens to you, make sure you follow above rules. Personally, in my experience, I had a SWA flight from Phoenix to Chicago on 12/23 at 10 AM. They came over the PA offering a $300 voucher and a spot on the next flight. I had nothing special to do except hang out with family, so I took it and they put me on the 12 PM flight. 30 minutes before boarding that flight, the same thing happens. Well, I'll take another $300 and they put me on the 3 PM flight. Guess what? It happens again, but this time they gave me $500. And I'm on the 6 PM flight. And you guessed it, they asked for volunteers again and I got another $500 and now I'm on the 8 PM flight. So I spent a day in the airport and sampled all the great dining options at Sky Harbor and ended up with $1,600 in SWA credits to use over the next year. Was able to go on 3 trips with my girlfriend without paying for flights. Moving forward, if I ever travel before Thanksgiving or Christmas, I'm booking the earlier flight and racking up the vouchers. Edit 2. If your flight is cancelled due to weather or mechanical issues, you are sole except them getting you on the next available flight. Flights are frequently cancelled when there isn't enough seats sold, and most of the time the airlines say it was a mechanical problem so they don't have to give you anything. Only about 20% of the people working here are actually properly competent and really understand what they're meant to be doing, let alone why. Which industry? Every industry. Source. Have worked in a variety of jobs temping across a huge range of industries over the last decade. Edited to add, this doesn't really apply to any kind of position that could be better described as a vocation than a job. Patient confidentiality just means your name isn't in the story, not that your story won't get told. Merlin Entertainments, the company that runs a wide variety of midway attractions like Legoland Discovery Centers as well as Legoland itself, pays most of their American employees less than Walmart. Oftentimes, employees love the job, but ultimately can't afford to keep it. This causes a near 90% turnover rate. Monday's chowder is the weekend's seafood leftovers. Edit. To answer some questions. Yes, this is just one example of the overall theme in most restaurants. Zero waste. Any veg trimmings, chicken trimmings, beef bones get boiled to stock. Leftover enter registered sign S, usually tomorrow's open face lunch Sammy special. Plastic containers are cut in half so everything is able to be scraped out. second only to quality and consistency of food. Zero waste is the credo to live by. Edit 2. Never really meant this as a bad thing. More so something people don't realize with restaurants. To answer a few questions. No, I've never seen Big Short, so I don't really get the reference. Anthony Bourdain, but one of many chefs who will tell you this. He is, in my eyes, one of the best celebrity chefs out there. But any chef will tell you this. Repetition and time management are 3 key factors in growing as a cook. Yes, corporate restaurants waste a lot of food. They are often so crazy, as well as make enough revenue from frozen processed dishes that at the end of the day it is cheaper to throw out than worry about legal ramifications. And last but not least, to the guy who said cutting plastic containers in half is worse for the environment, thank you. I'm still chuckling. My sister was on The Biggest Loser. Jillian and Bob were there 2 maybe 3 days a week. They make it seem like they live there. Juries can return a not guilty verdict even if they agree that the defendant broke the law, if they feel the law itself is unjust. This is referred to as jury nullification, and judges do not want jurors to know about it, even going so far as to hold people handing out literature about it in front of courthouses in contempt of court. As call center employee, I can assure you that all of our calls are recorded not for training purposes, but to protect our own asses. When a movie trailer has shots that turn out to be missing from the actual movie, that's not because scenes were cut. Those shots never existed in the movie. The trailer didn't test as well as they wanted, so the studio inserted scenes specifically made for the trailer during additional photography. The fresh chocolate chip cookie scent that can be smelled outside of the Magic Kingdom bakery is artificial. It's piped out there to draw you into the bakery. I work for a web design development agency in Canada. Clients think they pay us to do the work. The reality, we charge anywhere from $5,000 to $200,000 plus for web projects. We take 90% of those projects and outsource them to India for $200. The projects come back built so poorly, we spend months fixing them. The CEO laughs to the bank. I don't agree with the process, but that's why I quit and start a new job next week. Whether this is known by the general public is probably debatable. I suppose many people have thought this is at some point, or have had bad experiences. But the truth is far worse than most people suspect. A lot of industry professionals are complete idiots. Lawyers, doctors, financial specialists, brokers, engineers, architects, chemists, and bankers. Even IT. And I don't mean in a what a maroon kind of way. I mean they are dangerously stupid, lacking in common sense or the usual degree of awareness most humans employ in their daily lives. And how they manage to secure full-time employment is utterly baffling. Most of them simply do not care anymore. They're completely checked out. Their minds shut down the day they obtain their license, certification, contract, position, or whatever. They just phone it in, day after day. Always look up professionals' reviews before hiring them. Word of mouth is still the best method of figuring out who to retain. Never give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't be afraid to question them, and never trust them completely. And if they can't handle any of what I just wrote, duck them. They're not real professionals. The reason IT always tells you to turn it off and on again isn't because we get paid by the power sickle. It's because it fixes your issue 95% of the time. Hospitals and doctors' office bills in the US can be negotiated, and many will offer huge cash discounts if you pay at the time of service. But once the insurance gets billed, there is much less room for negotiation. If your bill gets applied to the insurance deductible, then the facility, by law, is supposed to collect the full amount that was applied to the deductible from you. Also, if there's a copay, the facility, by law, is supposed to collect that as well. For the average person on a high deductible plan, $1,000 plus, you'd have to get cancer, or be in a huge trauma for the insurance to kick in any meaningful payment. Insider advice: when you make an appointment at a doctor's office, ask if they have a point of service discount. Also, if you go to a hospital, don't let them know you have insurance until after they give you the bill. Do the negotiation first, then do the math and see if it's cheaper to pay out of pocket. If not, The facility has 6 months to bill your insurance after the date of service. Edit. This whole thing doesn't work for providers that strictly see in-network patients. That is, HMOs. Companies have quarterly targets, including shops. So if you're buying, for example, a fancy watch, go in at the very end of the quarter and lowball them. If they haven't hit target for that quarter, then they're often likely to cut you a deal. Something they probably won't do at the start of the quarter. If they've hit target, just wait. That many of the big named Apple, Samsung and Sony companies are profiting from child labor in Africa. India has a large portion of its workforce powered by child labor. More than a 2015 report by the International Labour Organization, ILO, puts the number of child workers in India aged 5 to 17 at 5.7 million, out of 168 million globally. And while there are no provable links to international corporations, there are more than 45 million people trapped in modern slavery. You simply can't get that many people trapped into slavery without big corporations being behind it. Relative of mine was a mystery shopper and did a lot of car garages. He would get sent in with a car and had to get it serviced and reported on how well it was completed if they found all the faults, if the customer service was up to scratch, etc. The results were usually 6/10. Until suddenly every garage was a 10/10 continuously. He investigated as it was a bit suspicious and found Mize, mystery shopper, written on the bottom of the car he was given. One of the garages sussed him out and wrote it there for future garages to find and make sure they have it the best possible service. TLDR. Write Mize, mystery shopper, on the bottom of your car when you get it serviced to ensure it gets the best service possible. Edit. This generally refers to large car garages such as Skoda and C to work on their own model cars for their customers. Going to your local mechanic round the corner, he isn't going to expect a mystery shopper anytime soon. It's more the corporate garages who hire Mize. Government cares about the people. I've worked at various offices and you meet way more Leslie Nopes than venal Blagojeviches. My experiences are borne out by others as well. The author Mark Hallepin said on the Moment W. Brian Koppelman podcast that of the 160 presidential candidates he covered, at least 151 were literally in it to make America a better place, not for the power-mad reasons the public assumes. Think about the kids in ASB or student council. Those are generally the most ethical kids in the school and they become our future congressmen. Edit. Fixed podcast reference. The discussion starts at the 35-minute mark, if anyone is interested. Nothing but cakes is not made with natural ingredients or fresh every day. They can be kept frozen for a few weeks and our eggs come out of a giant bag, pre-mixed. You do not even want to know how much red 40 dye goes into that damn red velvet cake. Ever done an online insurance quote? That's just a slightly watered down version of what your insurance agent is working with. Seriously, we just put in the info and the computer spits out a price. Unless coverage or rating information changes, the price you get is what you get. 20-30 years ago, an agent could tell you how much different rating factors impacted the price, etc. Today's agents aren't privy to any of that information. TLDR. Insurance agents don't just pull the price out of their asses and hope you'll take it. The computer does that for us. If you have a Bank of America credit or debit card, and your card gets declined and you call and find out it was because of a data breach, the fraud department that you speak to is forced by the bank to tell you that they can't see where or when the data breach occurred. But we can see it. It shows us right there on our computer. It's really ducking annoying for everyone involved. Other than the bank apparently, since they're the ones that enforce this. It's a major problem because your card gets completely shut off right there over the phone. And we have to send in a request to have a completely new card and card number sent to you. Then, you wait about 2 weeks to receive it in the mail. And have to change everything you pay your bills onto the new card number. But if you go back to the store with that new card that had the data breach and they still haven't resolved the problem with the breach, then your card will be shut off again. Rinse and repeat. Please try not to get too angry at the people you talk to on the phone. They don't work at BOA. They're just lowly call center workers. And they are fired if tell you where it happened. The bank is saving their own ass to not piss off big companies that don't want that info to leak to the public. Edit. I didn't think this would actually get seen much. In case I go missing, Boa probably sent someone to kill me. Diamonds should be worth much less than people pay for them. McGraw-Hill makes practically every textbook allowed in America's school. At the end of every year they throw away the tens of thousands of books for the tax write-off because it's going to a recycling plant. I am talking textbook for K through 12, college books of every type, teacher editions, and class sets of short stories and books for kids in process of learning to read. A normal textbook costs a school $60 to $80 a pop, but they throw enough away to educate every child in Africa. When I worked at the recycling plant I wasn't allowed to take them because it was considered illegal to distribute them. I truly lost all hope for the future of humanity after that, and quit my job. The place they're sent to is called Medina Recycling in Eni, Ohio. I seriously wanna find a way to make this big news and trash McGraw-Hill over it. It is also a 2-month period that is Medina Recycling's largest contract for profit. Edit. Sorry, the company name is McGraw-Hill. Edit 2. I know I said end of the month, but with a lot of new information coming to light, I realize that I can't do this sloppy, or it is either going to get me in trouble or it'll be swept under the rug. Probably going to get a Kickstarter going on this so I can get around and talk to other schools and McGraw-Hill associates in the tri-state area, along with creating a huge list of newspaper and media outlets to be notified all at the same time. This is going to be more work than previously thought. Please message me up if you can offer help. Edit 3. Wow, my gold cherry just got popped, thank you. And had to remove evidence of incrimination, but it may be released once I talk to my lawyer tomorrow. In Britain, anyone that watches TV has to buy a TV license. It's how the BBC remains commercial free. Well, for decades the government has pushed the notion that technology exists, in the form of TV detector vans, that can tell if a non-licensed pair is watching live TV in some way. As you see from this public information film, it's said they have more powerful detection vans. It would appear that this is total and utter bollocks. What actually happens is the TV license is a form of census, and houses that don't have one are sent letters as wrote. The two vans they have to maintain the ruse may be more powerful just because they have engines with more horsepower than the previous two transit vans with theatrical antennas sticking from the roof. This has been a facet of British life for decades. The notion that there's a government department with technicians and drivers and managers that do TV detection, yet the jobs never get advertised at the job center. Nobody in decades has ever been on a TV game show and given their occupation as TV detector van driver. We have people that served in the most secret parts of the military and government and company boardrooms that have written tell-all books, but never one from TV detection staff. That's because it's hard to have job vacancies for, and interviews from, and expose registered sign-ins of people that don't exist. Edit. If this doesn't become a hot topic in the United Kingdom subreddit, nothing will. MR. Clean magic erasers are just melamine sponges in a fancy box with a fancy label. They retail for about $1 a sponge. $6.50 8-pack is a sale price. You can get a 100 pack on eBay for $4.99. Free shipping. I work in the trucking industry and it's frightening how much food product is sold and resold after being rejected. Had a customer have a load of cheese refuse because it was too warm, but took it back to another warehouse, cooled it down and resold it to another customer. I have seen it done with cheese, juice, meat and seafood. Only seen it done about 4-5 times out of 10,000 plus loads I have moved, but that is still too high. You can buy advertising for really cheap if you go about it the right way. You're not getting a full gram. I work at a hospital in an area where there are lots of hospitals. Our ER has an EMT lounge with free slushies, soda and snack food, so the EMTs choose our hospital when delivering patients. College professors often have zero or very little training in teaching. They are just really good at research in their area, and thus earn advanced degrees until someone puts them in front of a bunch of college kids. The top professor at a university with a PhD and a ton of research publications isn't even qualified to teach kindergarten, high school, etc. There's a dead body in almost every commercial aircraft stowed away in the cargo, and the airport staff drink your confiscated alcohol. Pizza Hut managers are trained to give you free food if you complain about anything and with zero proof required. If they refuse to give you free food, call their corporate hotline and they will give you free food while reprimanding the store manager in question. Source: was manager. Got in trouble for not giving someone free food like I was trained to do. The moment you enter the mental health system in Canada, you have zero confidentiality. I can get any kind of information on you at any time with very little effort. Poultry industry. When hatched, a chick costs $0.25. Over its lifespan of only about 30 days, it consumes about $1 of feed, which is the largest cost to the company. The feed, no steroids or anything, just clever selective breeding have created birds with oversized breasts, which is where the money is. Within 3 hours, a bird is killed, death-roed, eviscerated, and chilled down to under 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the magical degree at which microbial growth slows or stops. The chilling process takes the longest, nearly 2 hours, in super chilled water. That's where the up to 5% retained water comes from. Certain companies add chemicals to promote more water retention. Every carcass is USDA inspected. Every single one. Foster Farms has the capacity to process 2 million chickens each day, and they are not even in the top 3 poultry manufacturers. After chilling, the birds are then cut up and packaged except the breast meat, which is aged, which is a fancy term for holding them for at least 16 hours to continue to retain water. That it is sold at a premium, so more water equals more money. Chicken is good for up to 16 days depending if the cold chain has been maintained. Kept under 40 degrees Fahrenheit, very little is left to waste. The feet are mostly shipped to China, they can't get enough of them. Blood is used in fertilizer. Feathers are often ground up and fed back to the birds. Look for packaging that reads vegetarian diet or no animal byproducts to avoid that Soylent Green it. Edit. Words is. The pretzels you get at the mall only cost 25 cents to make, including labor. Also, the cheese we have comes in a big can that is less than $15. They charge 50 cents extra for a tiny cup. We dilute it 3x with water and mix it up in the back. Edit. I was an assistant manager for Auntie Anne's for 2 years. The 25 cents included things like labor, rent, franchise fees, insurance, etc. I'm sure there are other expenses that didn't cover, and I'm also aware things get marked up. Damn pretzels and their deliciousness.